Ever looked at the back of a football jersey and thought, why that number? What if I told you that Cristiano Ronaldo's number 7 is more than just a digit, it's a global brand? Intrigued? Then you're in the right place. Stick around as we talk about the untold secrets behind the stars of their favorite football player shirts. Let's travel back in time to where it all began, the 1920s. This era marked the start of a crucial chapter in football history, the introduction of numbers on the players' shirts. In the early days, these numbers weren't a style statement or a personal preference, they served as a functional purpose. You see, football was rapidly gaining fans, and it was becoming more difficult for spectators and referees to identify players on the field. So the English Football League made a landmark decision to number the shirts. Initially, these numbers were directly tied to the players' positions. The goalkeeper got the number 1, which makes sense as they're the first line of defense. The defenders were number 2 through 6, midfielders claimed 7 to 10, and forwards usually were numbers 11 and above. So if you knew the number, you could instantly figure out a player's role on the pitch. A simple yet effective system. As football evolved, so did the players choosing their numbers. No longer were numbers strictly tied to the positions. Instead, players began picking numbers that held special significance to them. Whether it was a birth date, a lucky charm, or a nod to their idols, this shift gave players a way to express their personality, adding a whole new layer to how we, as the fans, engage with the sport. Take David Beckham, for instance. When he joined Manchester United, he wore the iconic number 7, a number previously adorned by legends like George Best and Brian Robson. But did you know that when he moved to LA Galaxy and then to Paris Saint-Germain, he wore number 23? That wasn't a random choice. Beckham was a big fan of basketball legend Michael Jordan, who wore the same number during his NBA career. Then we have the heartwarming story of Andre Iniesta in Barcelona, who wore the number 8 as a child. He watched his hero on TV, fantasizing about joining them on the field one day. When he finally got his chance, he chose number 8, a number that he felt personally connected to since his younger days. And who can forget the unique story of Zlatan Ibrahimovic? At Paris Saint-Germain, he wore number 10 as a classic choice for a forward. But when he moved to LA Galaxy, he chose number 9 and then switched back to 11 at AC Milan. Zlatan has often said that the number doesn't make the player makes the number. You see, these personal choices make each player's relationship with their number unique and intimate. It's not just about identification anymore. It's about personal branding and a small window into the player's own world. And for us fans, it adds another layer of connection, making the sports all the more enjoyable to follow. Now, let's talk about something that's a game changer in the modern world of football, the business side of things. You might not realize it, but the number on a player's shirt isn't just part of their identity, it's also a lucrative branding opportunity. Once a player achieves a certain level of fame, their shirt number can turn into a brand itself. This branding doesn't just influence the sport, it has a massive impact on merchandise sales, endorsements, and even social media following. Take Cristiano Ronaldo, for example. He's not just a football legend, he's a global brand. His association with the number 7 isn't merely sentimental, it's become a part of his identity that sells. Fans all over the world buy jerseys with Ronaldo's name and his iconic number 7, regardless of whether he's playing for Manchester United, Real Madrid, or Juventus. The shirts become more than just fan gear, they're collectibles. Lionel Messi and his number 10 is another excellent example. You see Messi's number 10 jerseys everywhere, from Barcelona fans to PSG supporters, and even among kids playing in local parks. The number has become synonymous with Messi's brand, making it a hot commodity. Clubs also benefit from this. Imagine the surge in sales when Messi transferred from Barcelona to PSG. Fans rushed to get the new number 10 PSG jersey, creating a win-win for both the player and the club. So, these numbers are more than just digits on a fabric, they're business assets. They contribute to the club's revenue, bolster players' brand value, and even make their way into different sectors like video games and other merchandise. The economics behind it is so powerful that choosing the right number can quite literally pay off. While jersey numbers often form a part of a player's brand, sometimes they transcend even that and become legendary and hallowed symbols of respect and honor. In some cases, clubs decide to retire a number altogether to commemorate a legendary player who has had a profound impact on the team and the sport. When a number is retired, no other player on the team is allowed to wear it, making it forever associated with the legend who wore it. For instance, Napoli retired the number 10 jersey in honor of Diego Maradona, who led the club to their first ever Serie A titles in the 1980s. AC Milan has retired Paolo Maldini's number 3 and Franco Baresi's number 6, two players who exemplify the values and history of the club. These retired numbers become a lasting tribute, a way for clubs to show their gratitude and to remind everyone of the legends that have graced their fields. But not every number and story fits the usual mold. There are some peculiar cases that defy the traditional numbering system. For example, you might wonder why George Campos, the Mexican goalkeeper, wore the number 6. Campos started his career as a striker, and his choice of number was a nod to the past. Then there's Edgar Davids, who wore the unusual number 1 at Barnet despite being a midfielder, a choice that certainly raised eyebrows. Beyond personal choices and club legacies, sometimes the number's significance is rooted deeply in cultural beliefs and superstitions. In Brazil, for instance, you'll rarely see a player wearing the number 24 because it's associated with gambling and is often considered unlucky. On the flip side, in China, the number 8 is a symbol of prosperity and luck, making it a highly sought-after number for Chinese players and even influencing international transfers. There's also the iconic number 10 in South American football, particularly in Brazil and Argentina. This number is often reserved for the team's playmaker, the player expected to bring a touch of magic to the field. The cultural weight of this number is so strong that kids dream of wearing it from a very young age, hoping to follow in the footsteps of legends like Pelé and Diego Maradona. When it comes to international tournaments like the World Cup or the Euros, the numbering rules often revert back to a more traditional system. Teams usually assign numbers from 1 to 23 for their squads. The starting 11 typically get numbers 1 through 11 aligned with their positions on the field. However, the significance of these numbers can still shine through on the global stage. For instance, the weight of wearing Brazil's number 10 at the World Cup is monumental, considering it's been worn by legends like Pelé and Zico. In the 2018 World Cup, Luka Modric wore number 10 for Croatia and led them to their first ever final, adding another layer to the number's rich history. Similarly, France's Kylian Mbappe donned the number 10 at the same tournament, impressing fans worldwide and solidifying his spot as one of the football's rising stars. So, now you see the numbers on football players' shirts aren't just random digits. They are steeped in history, culture, and personal significance. From the traditional positional numbering systems to individual choices that become power brands, these numbers tell stories that add depth to the beautiful game we all love. And that's a wrap for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Until next time, keep enjoying the beautiful game.